Do, 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 do. You gotta dance with me. Do, 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 do. Hey, what's up? Hello, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a simply neological podcast. I'm your host today because Ben's not here. Instead of Ben, we have Jan.
That's me.
My sister, Jan. It's really easy for me that your name is Jen because it sounds a lot like Ben.
It's easier for you to remember my name.
Yes.
That's
Ben
good.
and Jen, if I mix them up, same difference.
Basically the same person.
Yeah. Well, no, not really, but I like you both. So
Oh, good,
there's
good.
that.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So this is my sister, Jen. If you had not met her before, we've previously done an episode with her on this podcast probably a year or more ago. Can't remember.
I don't know.
It was a long time ago.
The last 18 months feels like 8 years.
No one can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're interested in more of a background story on Jen, who she is, why she, why she's so cool.
Why I exist.
There's an episode on that already. So I have to navigate this and be the host and read the questions that you guys submitted because Ben's not here. So all of a sudden I feel like I'm under pressure, and it's not because my sister's here. It's because Ben's not here to do the work.
It should also be because I'm here.
Yes, she's very intimidating. So my younger sister, Jen, by the way, for those who don't know, you are how many years younger than me?
I believe it's 3 years. Mm-hmm. Do the math.
Yeah, I never remember how old you are. I just take my age and then subtract 3, and then I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Probably it then.
So I'm 32, therefore you're 29.
Correct.
Which means you're going to be 30 soon.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we won't talk about it. Let's go straight into questions. So I asked you guys on YouTube community page, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our new Discord server, which if you haven't joined, you can click the link in the description
I'm on there.
box. Are you?
Yeah, I think so.
You don't go there often, though. I know. I'm watching. But yeah, thank you guys for submitting questions, and let's get into them because some of them are juicy sister things. So
should I be scared?
Yeah. So some of them are like sister talk,
Okay.
sister questions about us and our history, and then others are like girl talk questions. So advice for maybe girls or young women growing up, or
I'll do my best.
Well, we will try, but there's no
to
guarantees.
Offer sage advice.
We are not experts in any of those things. Question from Sofo. Which one is the cool sister?
Well, I think the answer here is obvious. I am the cool sister.
And why? Please explain to the class.
I leave my house once in a while.
You left your house today.
Yeah,
case,
it's true.
Case in point.
Yeah, evidence right here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think we're both pretty cool.
We're cool in different ways, but just to give some serious thought to this question, who was the cool one growing up?
I don't know. Like, weren't we both cool?
No, it was you.
Oh, was it?
It was definitely
I'm
you.
the cool one.
You're being too humble.
What define
What's cool? Yeah,
what
okay.
makes a person cool? I think people can be cool in their own ways.
You're
like,
just being nice.
There's not one.
You're sucking up to me.
No, it's true though. Like, what makes a person cool? Just be yourself.
Okay. Yes, my sister is trying to impart the kindest and most sensible of wisdom onto our audience, which I very much appreciate. But just realistically speaking, you tended to be more popular relative to your own friend group than I was relative to my friend group.
Well, and if you're referring to with other people and stuff, I was definitely more outgoing, let's say. And, I have more friends.
But, that's fine. Different people have different friend groups, different activities they like to do. I stayed home.
I was on
nails.
student council in high school.
Yeah, I was not.
But see, some people would say that's not cool.
Yeah, but interesting how that was.
I thought it was cool.
You were like a cool but also responsible kid. It's hard to come by.
I do my best.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Potterhead Artist. Who was the favorite child?
Well, to be blatantly honest, it was me.
According to whom?
Everybody in our entire family.
Well, there weren't many other kids in our family. Well, okay,
No.
So there's just me and my sister within our own household unit. We don't have any hidden sisters or brothers.
I mean, not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of, but we were the only kids in the family for the most part.
For a long
decade.
time, too, because other people in our family didn't have kids till later. So we were the only kids, and I was the favorite.
Seriously though, I don't think our parents really picked a favorite because we were both cool, you know?
Well, I probably talk to the family more often because I just talk to more people in general.
Yeah.
So maybe they liked me a little bit better because of that.
You were funnier though, because I kept to myself more. So yeah, maybe there's some truth
You were
to
just
that.
like a closet funny. I was an out there funny.
Which means I was sometimes funny though, just like only when I wanted it to be.
Only when you steal my jokes.
Oh, shut up. It's not true. Okay. Error 404 asked, "Are you still mad at her for ruining your Sailor Moon coloring book?" This question is for me. And short history lesson: Jen, my sister, at one point stole my Sailor Moon coloring book when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, and scribbled all over my artwork that I'd worked so hard to create. What do you have to say for yourself?
I literally have zero recollection of this story other than you continuously repeating it over the last decade.
I feel like it's the only thing I concretely remember that I hated you for.
I remember,
which is a good thing.
I remember another Berenstain Bears book.
Bernstein or Berenstain?
Oh, this is a debate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna. What did I say?
You're just gonna sit this one out. Just sit it out.
Berenstain seems like reasonable because it's a bear. But anyways, a book was lost, and I remember that was an issue, but I never remember a coloring book being an issue.
Whose book was it?
My book? I think it. I honestly can't remember, but it was like a candy themed one.
Candyland. Remember that game?
Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about. That's way off topic.
Okay. I am not still mad at Jen for my Sailor Moon coloring book. I just bring it up because it's the one funny anecdote I remember from our childhood.
We're going to make peace right here today, folks.
We are shaking hands in case you're listening to the audio. Sailor Moon? Sailor whom? I don't know. Abby Crow asks, "What is the worst fight you and Jen have had?" So a lot of people ask this question, and I had to really reflect because I seriously cannot think of the reason why we got into fights. But that being said, I remember us like screaming, and when we were teenagers growing up, we shared a bathroom. My room was attached to the bathroom, so when I was annoyed at you, I would just lock the bathroom out from my side so she couldn't get into the bathroom, but I had access to the bathroom from my room. And then you would scream from the other side of the door, like, "Let me in!"
Yes. So I would have a similar answer in the sense that I don't really remember anything crazy except for apparently that Sailor Moon thing. But
that was like really young. I must have been like 10.
Like probably those dumb little fights that you have as teenagers when you're not reasonable people yet, and just arguing over the bathroom or whatever it may be, but.
And I think that's really telling that we don't even remember because the fights were just so stupid that they aren't memorable.
Yeah.
Even though I remember having them. Like, I remember us screaming and locking each other out of the bathroom.
I kind of remember, like, being thrown down the stairs by you once.
No, she's just, okay, don't even, people did ask if we ever got into physical fights. I didn't include the questions. So. But I have no memory of us ever, like, punching each other.
No, maybe just, like, a little, like, slap, but
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No.
I don't know.
I do not
remember. I'm just, trying to get some juicy stuff here for the people.
Okay, well, you shouldn't make those things up if you don't actually remember. They're not true. So we never got into physical fights. I think neither of us were the violent type.
No.
And it's not traditionally how sisters fight either. That doesn't mean, like, that's always your experience. But, like, for us, definitely not. We were screaming at each other, locking each other out of the bathroom, and maybe stealing each other's clothes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say that's about it.
Gabby Ciroli asked embarrassing period stories, along with a bunch of other people who asked the same question. Because I guess when you're a girl, your period is one of the biggest things that defines you. And I'd find this interesting that, like, so many people ask this question, because I guess I never really, like, thought of it that much as being that important to me. Like, yeah, it happened. Yes, it was traumatic to find out about what the hell this blood is. But, like, I learned about it in school.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I understand that some cultures don't want people to talk about it, and I think that's unfortunate. It wasn't my personal experience. to suppress it or to like not
No,
acknowledge it.
I mean, all women get it. I don't think it should be stigmatized in any way whatsoever. And I think if people want to talk about it, why not? Like, let's let it all out there, people.
So, do you have an embarrassing story?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I have, like, again, why is it embarrassing to have your period?
Exactly.
So,
and I guess that's kind of the contradiction of these questions.
Yeah.
Do you have a story?
I mean, I have a story of, like, when I first got my period. Is that what?
I think that's what people want to hear.
And
what was that like for you?
I was at a friend's cottage, actually, and it was a friend whose parents were separated, and we were at her dad's cottage.
Oh, so you know, if there
and
was supplies.
she hadn't experienced it yet. And I remember going to the bathroom and being like, what is this? Well, I mean, I knew what it was, but it hadn't happened to me yet. But luckily, her older sister is there, and her older sister is about 5 years older than her and I. So I just snuck out to her and said, can you come to the bathroom with me? I need help.
That's
and, you know,
lucky.
she was great, and, like, she helped me through it, and it was nice to have her there.
So I guess I wasn't there.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't. I was not the older sister who was.
No, it was someone else's older sister who helped me.
That's great.
Yeah.
My one story I was in high school and I was wearing white pants that were like spandex pants that were low-rise cut jeans. You remember those?
That
those,
was
like,
the style.
It was the trend. It's a very regrettable moment where, you know, people would lift the thong slightly above the low rise. Yeah, let's forget about that. There will be no pictures of me in such items. But I was wearing white versions of those pants and someone was like pointing at my butt and like laughing at me and suggesting like I must have been bleeding. So I immediately took a hoodie and tied it around my waist and went to the bathroom. When I got to the bathroom and I checked, I just had like a red lollipop or like a sticker that was like just stuck up there, up the crack kind of. And I was like,
wait
oh
a minute.
God.
What do you
dumb.
mean a lollipop stuck?
I guess I sat in the cafeteria down on a sticker or like a lollipop or a piece of candy or something. And that's actually what it was. And then I just decided maybe it's a good idea to not wear these like ultimately could be see-through white spandex pants in high school.
But also, like, let's stop laughing at people, even if it was your period. Let's help them out. Let's say, hey, listen.
Yeah, this boy
do you
was
need
not
a
helpful.
tampon or something? Or I have an extra pair of pants that you might want to change. Like, let's help people out. Let's not just laugh at them, because that's part of the issue and why girls who are getting their periods for the first time are still, you know, it's new for them. That's why it's embarrassing to them when it really shouldn't be. It's just part of being a woman.
Yeah. So, but from that moment, I learned, like, you know, don't sit on lollipops.
Yeah.
In white pants. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right. Some metalhead asked a question for Jen. As a younger sister, did you get Cristine's hand-me-downs? If so, what was the best and worst thing you received?
I don't really know if I got your hand-me-downs. I think a lot of the time when we were younger, our parents would dress us up in similar or the same outfits. Mm-hmm. So I didn't need a duplicate of that because I already had my own.
Yeah, they did like to dress us up the same.
And, like, I feel like growing up, we were generally around the same size, too. So it wasn't like 3 years later, I was going to fit into your stuff. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That only makes sense when you're like a baby.
Exactly. So, yeah, maybe when I was a baby, I don't know. I don't have no recollection of what I wore as a baby. But
when we were teenagers, it's not like I got all the new clothes and you got my leftovers.
And I think, I think we would steal things out of each other's closet.
For sure. It was like an equal exchange program.
Yeah.
You know, I might get new jeans and then you might steal them.
Yes.
But you might have gotten a new purse and I might have borrowed it.
Yeah.
Not stole it, just borrowed
but I
it.
don't really remember.
Hand-me-downs, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you were done with something and
Well, I was never
wanted
done
it.
with anything.
Yeah.
I just keep it all.
Yeah, yeah.
I hand them down to myself.
Yeah.
For decades.
Yeah.
Wait, you're wearing my shirt right now.
That's true. I went into her closet and took
stole
this.
a hoodie, yeah. we still share hoodies.
I've been caught.
CRLLTM asked, how long did it take for you to build a strong sister bond between each other? I recall you used to fight as children, and it looks like you guys are the best of friends.
Aw, ain't that sweet.
Ain't that a POV?
I would say and maybe we've touched on this before, but I would say we probably started to build a closer bond when you left.
When I left.
When we weren't living in the same house anymore, when Cristine left for university and I was still at high school, so I was still at home. And I would come visit you for the weekend or whatever because you were in Ottawa. And I think that's when we kind of started to get closer.
I think that makes sense because when you're forced to live with someone, you will inevitably, get annoyed by them, resent them for little things because you don't have a choice. Like we didn't have a choice but to live together growing up. But once I had a choice when I was 17 to move away to university, maybe you missed me. After
I wouldn't
left
take
just
it
a
that
little.
far.
But like it makes sense because then it's in your control to decide to continue the relationship rather than like you literally have to share a bathroom, you have no choice, and as a result you might end up resenting each other.
And I think also, you start going through similar experiences as you get older, so it's someone else to kind of talk to about that's there for you.
Yeah, like you weren't going to ask our parents about how do I decide what to take in university or what is my first class going to be like because they didn't even go to university. And also if they had, it would have been like decades ago. You asked me because I literally was just there. So it made sense once we got older. And I think just maturity in general, regardless of the proximity of like your relationship to that person, as you get older, you just get more mature where you're in a position where like you feel good about, hey, let me just ask this person for advice. And I think when you're a teenager, there's this weird resistance to asking like your sister for advice because it's like she knows better for me than I do, right? Like I think that's just literally an immaturity thing that people do for the most part grow out of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're the best of friends. Amy asks, do you ever wish you had a brother?
I always did.
Instead of me or in addition to me?
Well, I plead the fifth.
We live in Canada.
It's true. I'm not. Well, you still don't have to say anything. It's just not called pleading the fifth. I always did wish I had a brother. I always wanted an older brother. I don't know why. I think it's just that like story that they're supposed to protect you, and I don't know.
You don't need a brother or
kind
a
of
man.
Be someone to look up to. But yeah, I realized I really didn't need one. I guess had fantasized about it a little bit
when you were younger.
Yeah.
I guess I never really thought about it.
And also because I think I was probably the child that maybe did more of the traditional, boy type sports. So I was like, oh, well, it would be nice to do these things with a brother, right?
What are you saying? I was bad at sports?
No, I just think I probably did more than you do. Yeah. Right? Or that you did.
I mean, like, we went through phases, though. Because there was a phase where I was obsessed with, like, race cars and riding my bike and was very much a tomboy. But
That's true, actually.
Then we both did dance.
And we were both obsessed, or you were especially obsessed with, like, wrestling.
Yeah, when I was younger.
Yeah.
I just think it's, like, phases you go through as a kid.
Yeah.
But then we both did dance recitals for several years together. Where we were wearing traditionally girly. Now that I'm thinking back, like, I cringe a little thinking back to the costumes that I was wearing as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Interesting how things have changed. And had I had a brother at that time, like an older brother, I wonder what his opinion would have been of.
And that's it, too. It would have been another person to influence you, right, into maybe doing other things, which would have been cool to try, but or not dress up in our little dance costumes, because, yes, I definitely have some cringeworthy photos.
Oh, my God. I would totally paint my brother's nails, though, if I had a brother.
Yeah, well, why not? You've painted our dad's nails.
I painted everyone's nails. Are you a family member? Then I will paint your nails.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Sincerely Jennifer. Is that you?
No.
Who moved away from home first, and was it easy being away from your sis? Do you even recall? LOL.
I do recall because you're older. So you moved away first. You went to Ottawa, I guess, when you were 17, right? Yeah. So
you were left. Actually, this is an interesting question because when I left, I had like 8 million things going on that were new, and I was overly stimulated. But you were in the same house, and all of a sudden, I just wasn't there, and you didn't have any siblings. So what was that like?
It was fantastic.
You didn't have to share a bathroom all of a sudden? Did you move into my room?
No, I didn't. I kept my own room. I don't know, because I was also, when you, I guess I would have been in grade 10, right?
Yeah.
So I was also at the point where I started to have to think about grade 11 and 12. And at that point, you kind of have to start thinking about subjects that you might want to study in university, where you want to go in university. So, I mean, I had things going on too. And also, I worked part-time throughout high school, and I had friends. So
You were really busy.
I kept busy, I guess. And, but obviously, I guess we missed each other since I came to visit you and stuff.
I wasn't there to drive you to school.
Yeah,
I
but
drove you to school in grade 12.
right.
So what did you do?
I had to take the bus.
You had to take the bus after I wasn't there.
Which is fine. And then eventually, when my friends started driving, I would get a ride. And then when I started driving, actually, back to a question, one hand-me-down I did get was your car.
Oh, yeah.
It was like it was a hand-me-down from our grandmother.
Yeah. So I got a 1995 Subaru Legacy. I think the year was 2006 when I got that car. It was a 10-year-old car, so that would make sense. So I got a hand-me-down from our grandmother.
Yeah.
I drove that for a couple years in high school and first or second year university. And then when you were old enough to drive 3 years later, it became your car.
Yeah. So that's
I forgot about
biggest
that.
hand-me-down,
How can we forget about the car?
I know,
Sorry.
I totally forgot.
Sometimes you forget the most obvious things.
I was thinking of only clothes, I guess.
Yeah.
But so I did take the Subaru.
I mean, to be fair, that was a hand-me-down for both of us.
Yeah.
Neither of us got a choice. It's not like I picked out a brand new car and you had to deal with whatever my choice was.
No.
But I did get the rims painted blue, so you had to deal with that.
Yeah, candy chrome blue. And the mirrors.
And the mirror caps.
Yeah.
So stylish, so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. All right, next question from Jess Ann. How do you deal with parents comparing you and your sister? I'm the youngest sibling, so I feel like I get the brunt of it, even now, though we're in our 20s. Thank you and love your podcast. Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, so
This is the serious segment advice part.
It's an interesting question, and I would say, and maybe you have a different answer, but I would say I can't relate to this too much, because I don't think our parents ever really compared us. I think they noticed early on that we were different people, and it's okay to be different people and not necessarily be compared to each other. But of course there is, like, for instance, in school, if if Cristine was to get a higher grade on something, then I guess an expectation was that, well, I should be getting those grades too. So there's definitely a little bit of comparison there. And what was the question again? How to deal with it?
Yeah. Any advice for if your parents are treating you like that?
At the end of the day, you can only do what you can do. You shouldn't compare yourself to others. That's just what I think. Like, on any subject, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others.
And you shouldn't pit other people against each other. So in case you're a parent listening to this.
Yeah, and it's not fair to do that, because people do have different challenges, and that's okay. And people have different interests too. So something that one person does, another person might not do as well at it. But maybe it's just because they're not interested in it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you deal with it?
I mean, like, there's a few practical ways to deal with it. I guess, like, my first reaction would be to be a smartass and just be like, well, I'm not Jen.
Yeah.
So if someone's telling me, why don't you do this like your sister does? I'd be like, I'm not my sister. What do you want me to say?
And
like,
be honest. Yeah. Say, I don't like doing this as much as this person may, so I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. Or I am not her, so
just be honest,
do you want from me?
And do your best at what you can do, and that's all anyone can do. Really.
Yeah. And I do hope as time goes on and traditional thinking of how people need to live up to their parents' expectations, even that kind of logic just like fades away. I hope the same logic of pitting siblings against each other also fades away. I do think a lot of those are rooted in more like traditional ideals of living up to some family established name reputation, which I think that's kind of dying out, at least in our culture.
Right.
or Americanized
In some
culture.
cultures, I think
Yeah,
it's different, and I think that would be really tough to deal with,
right.
because it's hard trying to live up to other people's expectations. At the end of the day, you should be putting yourself first, not someone else's expectations or thoughts about you first.
And that's on Sister Facts. All right, next question from Tricky Triangle. I share a room with my twin, and we're always fighting, and she acts like she's better than me all the time. Any advice?
Put glue in her pillow. No, I'm just kidding.
Lock her out of the bathroom.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I think we are not twins, although people mistake us for twins sometimes, even growing up, because we totally act the same, and we finish each other's sentences sometimes. I think that it's totally normal while you're growing up, especially if you're sharing a space, to feel like the other person is acting superior to you. And there's got to be a million times where we could each accuse each other of doing that. And I don't think it comes from an honest place of necessarily actually thinking that to be the case. It comes more from a place of frustration.
Yeah.
And just like, I'm so sick of this. I'm sick of the fact that I have to sleep in the same room. I have to share all these things. And so, like, screw you. This is my hair clip area. Don't touch it. I'm better than you, even though that's not what they mean. Does that make sense?
And yeah, I think it does. And a lot of the time, your frustrations and what you take out on people or what someone else is taking out on you might actually be coming from somewhere else. It might have nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. So my advice would be, take your sister and say, hey, is everything okay?
Is everything okay? Yeah.
Do you want to talk? Let's talk. Let's be honest. Is there something that I'm doing that's bothering you? Have open communication. And then that way you can both figure out what's possibly bothering you. Is it something that the other person can stop doing, or whatever? Or maybe it's something that's completely irrelevant and your sister just needs a hug or someone to talk to.
That's sweet. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. And we run into this with the Am I the Asshole episodes a lot, is that oftentimes the problem solving can be achieved through communication. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that the people involved are just unwilling or stubborn to actually communicate properly without holding some sense of like pride, like, oh, I could never because I'm stuck in my views. And I think that is the most challenging part, is moving through that, especially when you're younger. And I'm not trying to generalize like all young people as immature, but I do think it's something I noticed within myself too, that like as I got older, I held less grudges. I didn't worry as much about little things that bothered me, like just let it go. And I do think with life experience, you learn that.
And to add to your point there, because I totally agree, not just is it life experiences, but it's also other priorities that are coming up in your life, other challenges that are coming up that you're saying, you know what, all that other like useless stuff that we were fighting about, there's no point like to even think about it ever again, right?
Yeah, just let it go. You know, you're gonna move out at some point from sharing a room. I mean, maybe not. Maybe you decide you love each other and you want to live together forever. Like,
maybe
it's up to you.
That would be cute.
All right, next one. A bit of a
it's a novel.
It's a novel. No. From Andrea Gomez. Hi, Chris and Jen. I'm 23. My sister is 17. She's barely going through her teen rebel days, and I think it's more intense since she's back to school after being home from the pandemic, during which we changed cities. She's gotten new friends who I think are bad influences for her. How can I keep her from making bad decisions if she won't listen to me? She has this attitude of not wanting to hear me because I am always an introverted sock who has always preferred to stay inside rather than go out. She is not. I love her so much and I want to look after her without becoming her enemy. Context, our parents work in another city, so we only see them on weekends, so I'm her main adult.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it probably doesn't help being a teenager in a pandemic too. I mean, it's been tough on everyone of all ages. But if you're, trying to discover yourself and your friends, or if you're trying to figure out what you want to do in life, it's really hard when you're in a pandemic and you can't necessarily explore the things that you want to explore. But I think she's probably acting out because of that.
Yeah, I think that's in large part what could contribute to it. But even regardless of pandemic or not, being 17 is like exactly the age where you might be switching friends, finding new ones, finding a new group. it's usually the transition age before you go from high school to university or college or whatever you want to do after high school. So that is a very delicate phase for someone, and I can totally understand from the older sister perspective being like worried from a good place for your younger sister, but you also don't want to be the parent because that's terrible. Like,
well, it'll push her away even
Yeah.
more, right? So I think you do have to let people make their own choices and make their own mistakes in order to learn. And I think that people need that in order to also build their own character and stuff. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on her because she should, explore a little bit. But as long as it's nothing that's going to harm her or is unsafe for her,
yeah.
I mean, at that point, yes, you need to step in.
I think that, you need to make a subjective decision.
Yeah.
Because if there is something that is potentially can harm her or her future, then you need to voice that concern.
Yeah.
Can you actually control her and do anything about it? Not necessarily, but you could voice that concern to your sister. And if it comes from an honest place of concern, hopefully your younger sister isn't going to see it as you trying to control her.
Right.
If you just might have to massage how you message and present it so that she doesn't see you as trying to parent her.
And ultimately, people won't change unless they really want to.
Yeah.
So you can't force someone to. And Christine's, I think, advice is good advice in the sense that, just navigate the conversation so that you demonstrate that you are coming from a place of love and that you truly do care about her. You're not trying to control her.
Yeah, and it's not just that, you're an introverted sock, so what do you know? Like, you have some knowledge just being in the world for 4 extra years or whatever it is. All right, next question.
It was 6.
Was it 6?
I think so.
I can't do math. I think it's
23
yeah,
and
it's 6.
17.
Yeah. Like 4 years.
Math.
It's 6.
We need Matt for math.
We need Matt. Yeah, we're going to do a podcast with all of us. I know.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, people have definitely requested that. Maybe it's like sisters versus brothers.
There's going to be a lot of yelling across the table between 4 people.
I don't know how we're going to, figure that one out for the audio, but we'll figure it out. Next question from Rachel Chu. My dad is of the older generation and enjoys making jokes about how women are, but also says that I could do whatever I want with my potential. How does a young person like myself react to these comments, and is this an attitude that persists even in your workplace? If so, what do you do? The old creepy man jokes.
Yeah.
We are tired of them, but they exist.
Well, not just creepy old man jokes, but I think different generations obviously have different
Learned
perspectives on things too, just because of how society has changed and evolved over the last however many decades. So it's difficult because they might still be stuck in their own thoughts from those days, right? That's just normal to them. But it's not cool.
Yeah, like this will always happen. Even in like 50 years, this will happen.
Exactly.
Just in a different way.
That's what I was going to say. Like, who knows, in 50 years, someone's going to say to us, like, your perspective on this topic is skewed.
Yeah.
Although right now, it's probably a current perspective. But
Right. Yeah, I do get what I think Rachel's asking here, because I've definitely experienced that with past employers who would say things like, oh, you're going to university to get your MRS degree, like as in Mrs. to get married. And I'm like, no, it's for education, sir, but thank you for hiring me. Like, what? I like what I did and what you should do have sometimes been two different things, because when I was younger, I didn't necessarily have the confidence or know-how on how to react appropriately. And looking back, like, I wish I had reacted in a way where I like called that person out or just said like, actually, no, I'm getting my degree in this. Like, what are you trying to imply, sir?
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't always do that because this was an era 15 years ago where it was more normalized for older men just to kind of like put you down like as a young woman like that. And I think increasingly it's becoming less cool to do that, which I'm like super proud of, but it does take more of us young women collective to speak out and to say like, no, actually, I have a brain. I am here for this and whatever it is.
To answer your question, what should you do? I think you should call the person out. I've done that in the past too, even within our own family.
Tell us,
where
Jen.
we've had a difference of opinion on something, and they're making jokes and they think it's funny, but it's also because of their generation. And I called them out. I said, that's not okay to say. You can't say that. And they don't know. People don't know what to say when you call them out, but they're gonna remember that. Yeah. And they're gonna think to themselves, oh, okay, maybe it's not okay to say that if someone's calling me out in front of a bunch of people too. They don't want to be embarrassed ever again like that, right? So if it takes embarrassing them a little bit and calling them out on their stupidity, then I think it could be helpful in, stopping people from making comments like that.
And I think you're absolutely right. And over time, as we kind of grew up and like learned what is the right thing to do and what is not right to say, it did take the younger generation, or us, I know we're not even the youngest generation anymore, but when we were, to say that to our extended older family or older acquaintances, it takes those younger people to say that to them for them to learn, because how else will they know?
And I mean, I'm also very much, I want someone to call me out if I say something wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm sure sometimes I say things wrongly. Is that even a word? Incorrectly. So I want to be called out so that I stop making those mistakes too, right? I think everyone should be open to hear other people's perspectives and why something that they're saying may be incorrect.
For sure, yeah. So be assertive and confident if you are going to let someone know that they're incorrect or a bit misguided. But yeah, it should come from a place of trying to be constructive rather than trying to like embarrass them.
For sure, yeah. But it is fun a little bit.
To embarrass the older folk. Okay. Respect the elderly or whatever. Yeah. Grizzly asked, simply, how do you introduce your boyfriend if you have a strict dad? I know dads are often overprotective of their girls. Any advice on when the right moment would be, or how to get more comfortable talking about a guy in front of parents?
I laugh because unfortunately we can't really relate to this. Our dad is just as silly and goofy as us.
We'd be like, Dad, I have a new boyfriend. He'd be like, can we go play pool?
He'd be like okay.
Okay. Do you have beer?
No, you know what he'll say? Does he golf?
Is he bringing beer, though? Like, yeah, something like that. Does he watch the race?
Yeah. What was the question?
What do you do if you have a strict dad? So, unfortunately, neither of us can relate because our dad was just, like, nonchalant about all of it. It was more like he reacted like a friend would.
Right. But if I could try to offer some advice, and I think it would be similar to previous advice we've offered, just communicate with them,
Like I agree with you because that's the logical thing to do. However, if you are dealing with a parent that is so strict that they are just objectively unreasonable, and I know it happens, like those parents exist, pray for them and hope that they like see through their parental narcissism. I think in some cases, it's really tricky because you can't just communicate with that person. Right. And I think you're going to have a lot of young people saying like, that's literally impossible. Like I will try to talk to my dad and he will not listen to me and he won't understand. And maybe you're even like 18 and trying to have this conversation. It's like not fair. So I don't know. Like for me, being a very practical person, I would probably just hold off on introducing. Like if it's going to cause more harm, and it's kind of up to you to make that judgment call. If it's going to cause more harm and your parent's going to be completely unreasonable no matter how amazing this partner is or, how fair it is, then just hold off until you think your parents are ready. Like it's kind of messed up how reverse this is, but do you have any other like practical advice for like an actually strict parent?
If you're waiting for the right moment, so to speak, when to introduce the idea even of that you have a boyfriend, maybe make sure that the boyfriend or the relationship that you are in is solid and it's something that you do truly see as being, longer term, so to speak. But or
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 trick them?
trick
What are you
them.
going to
No.
say?
If there's someone else in the family that maybe your dad listens to and can offer your dad some advice, talk to them, and maybe they can gently, warm him up to the idea of it.
I like that approach. Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you don't have that, then maybe, don't say anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like over time, eventually, if you've been dating for like a year and a half, it's inevitable that they're going to meet your family. And the longer you've been together, usually strict parents will be more receptive, knowing that you've been. I'm not saying this is like correct logic,
I think,
but just I think practically speaking, I think that's how strict parents' minds work.
Yeah.
Unless they're mad at you for dating without their permission.
Yeah.
But,
my personal opinion is date as many people as you want for as long or as short as you want.
And, your parents aren't dating them, so it's kind of up to you.
Right. But, maybe just don't tell your strict dad.
I mean, I want to be somewhat understanding, though, of, like, other cultures where this is completely not within the realm of possibility. We are obviously talking about where this is possible in the culture. We are in Canada and live mostly an American culture experience. Von Victoria. Jen, did you play the Fib Finder, and did it accurately say you fibbed?
I think we had a Fib Finder.
Let's ask the Fib
Finder. Do you still have it? Who has it?
I do.
You do?
It's in the stream room.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we've played. I probably played with my friends too in the basement.
Yeah? Were you always caught lying?
Do you like a boy?
You were always lying about boys, for sure.
Always, no. Yeah. Okay. I can't remember if it caught me fibbing, but...
Next question that's a serious question, since the Fib Finder isn't always accurate, is from Rotisserie Cassowary. Did Jen do acting as a child too? Were there issues with jealousy or other conflicts over Chris's career? I like how you refer to my acting as a career. I don't really see it that way, but here, it's your question.
I did a little bit.
You did?
Yeah, I did a couple commercials.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying you were jealous.
Oh, no.
You're not jealous.
No. I was never jealous. I did do a couple commercials, but I started later because I was younger. And then when we stopped at the same time, too, just because, it was a lot to travel downtown Toronto for auditions, and you didn't even know if it was worth it because they didn't choose you. So it was a lot on the family, I guess, to go back and forth downtown with two kids too, because obviously we're not going to the same auditions necessarily. We're going to different things, right? Because if they're looking for different age groups. But yeah, were there? I don't think
so. A lot of people in my stream recently, where I went through and like watched my commercials, asked a lot of questions about you and whether or not you did them. And then a lot of them were assuming that you must have been jealous of me because I guess when you're young, you want to be an actor or an actress. Like, this was a common misconception I got myself. Like, everyone's saying, like, are you sad that you never made it as an actress or you quit? And I'm like, no, because I literally never cared. But what is your perspective? How many commercials did you end up doing, and were you sad that you stopped?
I think I did two only. Two or three. I think I did
two,
and I think I did one, like, catalog. But
I
can't really remember
the name, the toys?
One was for a toy.
What was it?
Oh, shoot. Dreamstar.
Yeah,
it was a Hasbro Brothers.
Yeah.
I think I have pictures from that set.
It was the same company as one of the...
Hasbro Brothers.
Yeah, so I think they were... Was it Sneezing Louie?
This is not an advertisement.
No. But like, I remember it was the same company as a toy commercial that I had done too. So like the director was the same or something?
Maybe. But was I ever jealous? No, I used to like going to the sets, even if it was for Cristine's shoots, because they had candy there.
That was the best
And
part.
I could just feast on candy.
Yeah.
And no, I was not sad when we quit. I don't think.
So I was 13 when we quit, so you must have been 10.
Yeah.
So do you remember that
I
moment?
was young. I didn't really...
you didn't really care. So you, I guess, were in commercials or in auditions between, 8 and 10?
Probably something like that.
And you don't ever remember thinking you wanted to be, like, a famous actress?
No, I think I was more focused. I was in dance class, too, and I really enjoyed doing that. So I wanted to further that career.
that
No.
ended nowhere.
Yeah. I just dance at Home Alone now.
A star.
A star, yeah. Bentley watches me. But no,
You
so
never
I don't
really
think
cared.
maybe I was too young to fully like understand too.
I think people ask us this question a lot because the assumption is that if you're young and in commercials, it's because you want to be an actress. But like,
No.
neither of us relate to that. And I'm not saying we were forced because we were not like forced. But when you're that young, it's ultimately your parents' decision to sign you up for these things.
Yeah.
Like an 8-year-old doesn't get to decide I'm going downtown for an audition. Yeah. Like the
See you later.
parent,
I'm getting on the bus.
No, like the parent is the one signing the contracts and taking, getting pictures of their kids for profile headshots.
Yeah.
And accepting the money for the commercials when they got the part. So it was our parents who put us in it. We said, okay, cool. And we did it until it was kind of like getting too close to interrupting with school from a high school perspective.
Yeah. And, I don't know. Have we ever asked them why they decided to put us in?
And in the first place?
Yeah. Maybe we should ask them. I wonder. Well, our dad.
I have like some suspicions. But
our dad did one commercial when he was.
I forgot about that.
Like what? Maybe he was 20?
20.
Early.
So
20s?
our dad did a beer commercial when he was in his 20s. Him and his twin.
His twin. So I don't know.
But I don't think he was like in commercials with an agent.
No,
he was just asked by a friend, just like happenstance to be in it. And so he was like, okay. It was not a career path for him.
No.
It wasn't like he wanted us to be famous actors or whatever.
No, not at all.
I think it was just a suburban of Toronto thing where other socialite moms of the suburbs were putting their kids into commercials hoping that they would become take off as child stars. Maybe. I don't really know. Like, I'm making assumptions because I was a child and I do not actually know what the conversations were during that time.
Right.
But that's just my assumption.
I never
20 years later.
wanted to be famous. I still don't, for the record.
Me either. Oops.
You messed that one up.
I fucked that. That's
actually, when I was little, and this is back to, I guess, my interests were really into dance because I was like, I'm going to be a backup dancer one day. So,
for who? Who do you want to be a backup dancer?
Probably Beyonce or someone.
Britney Spears.
Someone cool like that. So, yeah, I was happy to be in the background of things.
I remember us having to sacrifice the potential of competing for dance. Mm-hmm. Like, you could do competitive dance. And I remember us like being asked by our dance studio to do it, but we couldn't because we were so busy after school going to commercials and we could not have the time to like go drive 6 hours for a competition on weekends.
Right.
So we never did competitive dance because we were doing commercials.
Yeah.
We sound like such brats. Like literally such
privileged brats.
And we didn't even want it. We didn't even want to be, actors, but here we are on a podcast. Which is not the same thing. This is totally in our control.
No, I'm not acting right now.
I don't have an agent.
No, me
This is real life. All right, next question. From Steve Zanders. Jen, how does having a sister who is widely known on the internet affect how you interact with social media and internet communities? Do you think having family in the business has changed the way you view influencers, either negatively or positively?
This is a very interesting question. So let's start with the first half of this. How do I interact with social media and internet communities?
Tell us.
I don't really. Mm-hmm. And I do think that it's probably because of your platform that I kind of distanced myself from it a little bit and decided that it's just not my thing. I don't know. So I don't really post much. I don't really do much on social media. Like, other than maybe with my immediate friends, I'll send them memes. But
you know what a meme is, though, at least.
Yeah, I know what that is. Or funny TikToks, so, yes, I use social media, but I don't really...
It's not a big part of your
I don't
life,
have and I'm not one of those that if I go out for dinner, I'm taking pictures of everything. I'm more of I'm just going to live my life and then...
Do your friends take, like, stories and whatever when they're out for dinner?
Some do. Some don't. Some are like me, and others are more into it. So, I don't know. I guess for me, I just don't care.
You just don't care,
to post things that much. So.
And I think that that's really interesting because and I'm sure a lot of my audience is so stuck in a bubble of just like constantly being on social media, whether you're a content creator, you're making nail art, or you're just someone who just like loves social media personalities and wants to know everything that's going on. But then my sister is like the opposite. Like, you don't know who some of the top YouTubers are.
No.
Like
Liza Koshy?
Like, right. She doesn't even make YouTube videos for like 3 years. But but yes, like that's an example. Like, you knew of her because when I was starting to get big on YouTube, she was one of the top.
Yeah. And she was funny.
Yes, and she was funny.
but no, I don't really use YouTube that much. Sorry.
You do watch this podcast, though.
Yes.
Do you want to tell people why?
Because I do the...
Other than you love and support me?
Because I just love listening to my sister's voice all the time.
Why do you listen to all our podcasts?
So I can type what you're saying. No, and keep it in a secret box. No. I do the transcripts.
Yes, fun fact. So for all of you adding closed captions in English, it's Jen writing them.
Yeah, for the most part.
What do you mean for the most part? What are you saying? You're not doing them all?
Yeah, the ones that I do.
It's very helpful to have a human write the transcript rather than Google writing the transcript, because like Google doesn't know how to spell my name, doesn't know how to spell holo. They'd get it all wrong. So thank you, Jen, for your efforts there. But yeah, having family in the business, I guess family being me, has that kind of changed your perception of like who's an influencer? Because there's this layperson perspective that like an influencer is super vain, or all they care about is like likes on a video.
Yeah.
What do you think now that you know someone who's
so I think, and I say this all the time, I think that social media and influencers, there's a really amazing component to it that's helpful to society and the communities, and then there's a really dark side to it. And it's hard because you can't put all influencers in one box, at least in my opinion, because they are all different, and depending on the content that they are creating, depending on if they're actually being organic and true to themselves, I think is something that's interesting to me. Because I mean, I know my sister and I see what you're putting out there, and it makes me want to hope that everyone else is being true to themselves like you are, and like trying to actually help the community. But unfortunately, I think that some people are feeling pressured by society and social media, so maybe they're not being true to themselves. And so that, I think, is a really big dark side to it. And then another dark side to it is, some people who do reach that fame and do get that money, they change, because sometimes fame or greed or whatever it may be can change a person. And then, those I would categorize maybe as the vain kind of influencers. But no, I don't think you can put all influencers in one box. I think there's the good and the bad.
I think that's really great to hear, like a lay person, an average person who uses social media like occasionally say that and understand that. Because I do think if you ask someone like off the street who doesn't know, like they might just be like, influencers, what is that? Kim Kardashian? Like, and they just have no understanding that there is a depth and a difference to the types of people who are influencers.
Yeah. It is a bit frustrating to see the influencers that are maybe influencing certain things just because they want money and fame. So, I mean, I think the content you're creating should be because it's actually something you enjoy doing and something that you really like. It shouldn't just be for fame and money.
If only it were that simple.
Yeah.
Just on the topic of family, because I know I've seen this question before too. People ask how our family perceives me online, and I just think it's so funny that, like, my grandma, for example, she'll occasionally ask, like, oh, are you still doing those nail painting classes, those online nail classes? And I'm just like, yes, Grandma, I'm still doing them. And she's like, okay, but you still have your real job, right? Like, just this like completely generational gap between understanding of what someone on social media these days does.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because friends of mine parents who find out maybe that you're now an online, influencer or whatever.
What do they say?
They don't fully grasp it either, and they're like, "Oh, so does she own like a nail salon?" And she does people's nails.
Right.
And I'm just like, no,
Sure.
not at all.
I do your nails sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But I'm naked right now, though.
Yeah, this is a shame.
Ooh,
Like we should.
naked.
Normally, you paint your nails, and
I
this is
do.
like the one time you don't have them
It's
painted.
true. Normally,
What
yeah.
were you thinking?
I
You
don't
knew you
know.
were coming on this podcast.
I wasn't thinking.
The shame. Okay, next question. David G. On a scale of 10 to 10, how iconic is Avril Lavigne?
She's more Christine's idol, I think.
Iconic. 10 out of 10 tumbleweeds
We'll
and
give her a
Napanee.
10.
She was my idol growing up.
She was.
Yeah.
And, like, you tried to, like...
Look like her.
Look like her, exactly.
I had the baggy cargo pants, the chains all up in the pockets.
The tank top.
The white tank top. I don't think I wore a tie. But, like, I had
I feel like
stripes and
I
stuff.
recall maybe you dressed up as her once with a tie for Halloween or
Yeah, for
something. I
Halloween.
remember something like that.
I took Dad's tie, yeah.
But I don't think you did that on a daily basis.
No, I did not. But I did wear, like, chains on my pants on a daily basis for a certain period of time. Anyways, love you, Avril. The nail polish bottle asked, have you ever had a fight because you fell in love with the same boy at once? I'm guilty. The nail polish bottle is guilty.
She's guilty.
So a lot of people wanted to know, did we ever fight over the same boy?
No. Actually,
What? What?
Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
The stretch toy.
The stretch toy. When
we
were
had
6.
we had a stretchy toy that was Hulk Hogan, and we fought
We
over
fought
him
over
because
him.
we
We
both
did.
wanted.
It's true.
We both fell in love with him and wanted to play with the
Guilty.
stretchy toy.
Yeah.
But
I laugh at this question because even just thinking like who that would have been if it had ever happened, like there's literally like not even one person I can come close to thinking. And I think that's because 3 years in between us is a huge gap when you're in the high school, young adult age.
Yeah.
Like if I'm university age and I'm 18 and you're 15 years old, I would have like yelled and been so upset if you were trying to date an 18-year-old, right? Or I would have been upset at my friend if it was like my friend trying to date you. And then if I as a 19-year-old were trying to date your 16-year-old friend, that would be equally disgusting.
Yeah.
So I think that 3-year gap
I think there would also be some
laws maybe.
illegal
yeah.
illegal components to that.
Even if you move past that and you are technically the age of consent and whatever, it's still very strange and possibly inappropriate from a social perspective to do that kind of thing when 3 years matters so much more when you're that younger age. If we were like 23 and 26, the age thing isn't the issue there. The issue would have been like, this is my friend, what are you doing? Like, maybe there would have been some of that kind of territorial issues, I guess. But, like, I think that's what people were fishing for. But there's literally not even one instance I can think of. Like, we
Don't
weren't
worry,
even...
I'm not in love with Ben.
Okay, just checking. All right.
Maybe Zyler, but
Okay, yeah, he's mine. Cute little dead people asked, what? Is Jen interested in having kids? Do you ever feel socially stigmatized for your position on having children? I'm child-free myself, and I feel like anytime it's brought up to my coworkers, friends, family, I'm often told that I'll change my mind or that I should have kids before it's too late.
So I'm going to start off this question just by saying that I think it's like fine because she wants to ask us this question, but I think it's in the workplace or even if you don't know someone that well, I think it's such an invasive question to ask a woman. Do you want kids? Do you plan on having kids? Because not only is it their choice that it's up to them to decide if they want to share that with you or not, but also you don't know what struggles they've potentially been going through. You don't know if they've had previous miscarriages or health conditions or anything like that. And I just think it's very invasive to try to, kind of bring up that possible trauma. I don't think it's fair to do that to someone. I think a woman should share what she wants to share when she wants to share it. So I think it's kind of rude for people, especially coworkers that maybe you don't aren't very friendly with or don't know you that well that ask you those questions just because you were born female. It's not, I don't think it's an appropriate question.
I completely agree with you, and you guys know my perspective is the same and has been the same. I think it's just tricky because people are like socially conditioned to thinking that women will have kids and that there is a clock ticking if they don't. So once you hit 30, when you having those babies, like it's not cute, it's not funny, it's not it shouldn't be the norm. I'm arguing, you're arguing that, like, why is this normalized to act like this? I think it's, like, so old school and traditional and reminds me of, like, what a 50-year-old man would say to someone, but not something our or subsequent generations should be saying. I hope that people kind of shift their perspectives on that. And it starts with people like us saying, don't ask that shit. If someone wants to have kids, they'll tell you. Trust me.
Right.
They will tell you on Facebook. They will text you. They'll let you know. Like, if they're happy they're having kids, and that's totally great and can be great news for people. But you don't flip it. You don't ask someone when they are going to do something that they may not have ever said that they want to do, that they can do. You don't know their lives.
It's not fair to assume that that's something they want to do just because they were born a certain sex, right?
Yeah.
And
Sorry. Sister. I just want to say this person's asking the question very respectfully. Yes. So, like, it's not like we're...
No. I have no issue with this
yeah,
question. Yeah. I think it's great that she asked the question. She or he, I don't know. If she asked or he, if they asked the question, yes. Because I think it is an important topic, right? Like, for people to be aware that maybe it's not okay to ask those questions to people that you don't really know just because they're a certain sex. And also on the point of people saying to you, oh, you'll change your mind. That's totally unfair to say to someone.
That's just rude and condescending.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have a right to their own choice and what they want to do with their life, with their body, with their future. And it is not okay for someone to say, oh, don't worry, sweetie, you'll change your mind. Or, like, when the right man comes along, or that stuff like that.
Literally shut up.
I can't stand that. Because
I hate that.
It's not about the man or your partner or whatever it may be. It's about you and your choice.
Yeah, and it feels incredibly, like, infantilizing and condescending whenever someone has told me that. And it's, like, I've had people close to me say that, too. Yeah. And, like, I want to, like, throw up when people say that to me. I don't. But
that would be messy.
Yeah, you just, when someone asks you that, you can just respond politely. I try not to get mad, even though I am frustrated that I constantly have the internet asking me this question. I think most of my followers know, like, not to, or, like, that's inappropriate, but I do occasionally get people asking me that, or when you getting married, or, because there's young people on the internet who just think that that's a normal thing to do. And I think, like, the best response is just be like, well, you don't have to say anything, first of all. So, like, you never have to respond to anyone.
You can say, I don't want to answer this question.
Yeah. I usually respond sarcastically, but that's just my approach to things. Like, if someone's like, when is he going to put a ring on that finger? And I'm like, yes, you're right. I need a man to complete my life. It just hasn't happened yet. But, like, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah. And I think it's kind of up to you how you want to deal with that. But, yeah, don't ask people when they're having kids.
I think it's okay to ask if you're seeking advice for yourself.
Sure.
Say maybe if you're trying to look for someone to relate to or seek their advice.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't mean to put it that way.
I think it's okay in that context, but just because, you're a female and some generations think that's why you were put on the earth.
Maybe it's different depending on your relationship with the person. Yeah. Like, if it's one of your close friends and you want to have this conversation, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be offended. Like, you just want to talk, maybe see if you have some common ground or ask advice. But you don't say this shit to strangers on the internet. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Or, like, random colleagues that you like try. It's not a small conversation topic. Let's just put it at that. Like,
it's not small talk.
Exactly.
Small talk sucks.
Yeah.
Don't make it worse.
Yeah.
by asking people this. All right, next question. From Hisba, is Jen dating anyone and what do you think of them? In caps.
What do I think of them or what do you think of them?
Probably what I think of them.
So I think I've answered this question before, but yes, I am dating someone.
Dun, dun, dun. Did you ask our dad permission?
No, I don't think so. I
just
live
kidding.
my own life.
He wouldn't care anyways.
No.
I'm just being funny.
No, I'm
but,
pretty
like,
sure the first question he asked about him was, does he
does
golf?
he golf? So yeah, you are dating someone. I think they are great, but we also respect your privacy, and we're not gonna like put this person on blast all over the internet.
We're
and,
going to
like,
lay out
tag
all
them.
of his insecurities right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Here's what I don't like about your partner.
No, I'm dating someone. Well, I guess, is it considered dating when I live with them too. I guess I can
It's up
say
to
that.
you if
Yeah.
you're comfortable saying that.
So, and that's, I guess, where we'll leave it.
You're dating someone you live with?
Yeah.
It's like so weird.
Don't tell anybody that.
Wait, you're not married? Oh
No.
my god. Sins.
No, living in sin.
Grandma, don't listen. She doesn't know how to access
She doesn't
this
care.
podcast. She also doesn't care.
She does not care.
We're being funny, but yes. Okay, last question to wrap this up from Maintaining Mindy Lou. What do you like best about each other? If you could pick one of your sister's skills for yourself, which one would you want? So now we have to compliment each other.
This is going to be tough. No.
We're never going to end this podcast.
Who goes first?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Say at the same time.
No.
Do you have like a short, like 2 words or something you can like blurt out and we can say it at the same time?
Yes.
No. She's like,
No, I'm trying to think of the right words.
Just like pick a few words and condense them into 1 or 2 words, a concept, a very short concept, and we'll blurt it out.
Okay.
And then we'll expand. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Social
hardworking,
skills.
reasonable person.
That was more than 2
Sorry.
words.
I don't know. I couldn't do. I was 4, right? Whatever. I doubled
That
it.
was like way too many words. You didn't follow the rules. Thank you. I said social.
I didn't really hear what you said.
I said
to be
social
honest.
skills.
Okay.
So Jen is amazing at social skills. She's always been extremely friendly. People love her, and you communicate really well with others, which is really telling from all the different types of jobs you've had in your almost 30 years of life. Like you've been a waitress, a hostess, you've been a real estate agent for years, which is incredibly hard to do. I would literally fail. Like I would never sell a house, but like you were really good at it. You now work in government, and you've had so many different positions which utilize your innovative like perspective where you can put yourself out there and like make statements and find findings and help people out and like control the room and like lead things, and you're just really good at all of that with your social skills, and I always struggle with that. So
Wow,
yeah.
Thanks.
I'm missing that skill set from you. So if you could just give me some of that. Thank you.
I guess it's my
Yes.
turn. I really admire how hardworking you are, and when you, for some reason I can't remember the word, but when you set your mind to something,
Determined?
yeah, but I think there's another word that would
Disciplined.
describe it. Yeah, maybe discipline. Okay. When Cristine sets her mind to something, she goes in full force, 100%, and she does it so well because she puts all of that passion into it. And I think that that's probably why you're so successful now too, because of that dedication and discipline, I think is the better word, because you have a good head on your shoulders and you just do it, which I admire.
I mean, you do the same. You're very disciplined and hardworking. You've always worked like 3 jobs in some capacity. Like you've always worked more than you had to.
Yeah, but I think you're better.
Okay, no, like this is now we're fighting about who's more hardworking, which is just really ironic because we've always been both incredibly, I think if I can say fairly, we've been incredibly hardworking individuals, whether we were like 12 in acting or whatever, or working in high school, but both of us worked all throughout high school. Both of us went to university. Both of us did extra stuff related to education after university, and both of us have gone through multiple different jobs and career paths. So I did see other questions about asking us, like, are we opposites in the sense of like your career or whatever? And I think like we're very similar as far as siblings are concerned. Like we aren't opposites, right? Like we're more similar than different.
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Is that why we get along? Or is
Maybe.
that's why you shouldn't get along?
Well, they say opposites attract, but
so we're not attracted.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how this works.
But I think because I like to think we're both pretty just reasonable human beings in general. So I think that's helpful. Like you can have those conversations with each other and not roll your eyes and be like, what is that person saying? Or what is wrong with them? You know?
Yeah, we only did that when we were like 16.
Yeah.
Like definitely rolled our eyes at each other when we were teenagers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if you're out there and you're young and you hate your sibling, you know, just know that the future is brighter later, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And hopefully you can find some common ground. You can find a mutual interest that you guys enjoy. But it might take some time because, like, we hated each other, 10 years ago? No.
But again,
15 years ago.
It was probably over really, like,
absolutely
stupid.
Nothing. Like, so
petty.
stupid, we can't remember.
Yeah. Nothing significant, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to affect your life.
Right.
Really.
Stupid teenager stuff that really matters when you're that age, but then you do not remember in 15 years later. All right. Well, thank you for coming on this podcast, Jen.
Ooh, I'm done.
Where can people find you if you are to be found?
You can't.
No,
I'm just kidding. I do have an Instagram, but I really...
She doesn't use
I'll
it.
be honest with you. I'm not looking for followers. You're probably going to get bored with my page because I rarely ever post.
No, you post your dog.
I do post my dog sometimes, Bentley. His birthday is next week, so actually it's this week because it's
Jen.
Taco Tuesday, so his birthday is tomorrow.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so go follow Jen Rohde on Instagram and wish her dog Bentley a happy birthday.
Yeah,
are you going to do a birthday post
He's
for
going to
him?
be 10. Yeah. Milestone birthday, I think he deserves it. Yeah, he's 70 in human years.
Maybe Menchie and Zyler will give him a cousin birthday gift.
Wow.
A little comment on social media. That's it.
I got
That's what
him
meant.
something to wear for his birthday, so.
A collar?
No.
A vest?
No.
What do you need to wear?
You want me to ruin the surprise?
Bentley, are you listening? All right, okay. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast with my sister Jen. If you want more podcasts with Jen, we are open to it because we are double vaxxed.
Are
Hopefully
we
the world
open to doing more podcasts?
We I think we are, but I'm just happy that you can finally come over and we could do more of these. So yeah, let us know down in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube.
If you have more questions for me, I'll think about answering them.
Yeah, we'll screen them for next time. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a happy Taco Tuesday, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.